Hey internets, it's Jake, and this is Mini Terrain Domain. What I like to think of as MTD&D. And as you can see from the little thing right here below the MTD logo, it's Ladies Week. It is in recognition of Domestic Abuse Awareness Month in October. Somebody in our Absolute Tabletop community, Taylor, has put together this concept of Ladies Week. And I was fortunate enough to I actually found 5 amazing women who wanted to play in a game together. But unfortunately, Carol couldn't make it. She's playing in another campaign because she's all over the place. So, Carol, you'll be with us in spirit. We'll definitely miss you tonight, but we're looking forward to playing tonight's game, which is, oh yeah, and one more thing. Don't Wake the Mother, a D&D 5th edition adventure that is based on the Zac Snyder movie Sucker Punch. If you want to know more about Ladies Week, you can head over to Absolute Tabletop Official Group, or I would encourage you to go to mine and the RPG Construct, Jake Warren's podcast, Something RPG-ish, where the episode that just released today is called Ladies Week. And we actually sat down and talked with Taylor about what inspired her to start this week and talked a little bit about playing different gendered characters and women in heroic roles. And we had a wonderful time talking with Taylor. And much thanks goes to Taylor for being the inspiration for this. But I would be remiss if I didn't mention all of the amazing people that we have in our community, and a lot of amazing women in our community that run games and that play in games all the time. So we hardly needed to encourage more women to come into it because we have a lot in our community. But as I said, I am fortunate to have these 4 women ready to embark on a dangerous adventure. And so without further ado, the 4 of you find yourself in the belly of a multi-prop bomber airplane, circling above the desolated wasteland below. Peering out through the portals, you can see, and through the open door, you can see that below you, the landscape is awash in tiny explosions and what looks like a writhing mass. As you can see, the monstrous armies that are warring with each other outside of the fabled castle Arakelia. You know that these tribes are consisted of goblins, hobgoblins, gnolls, orcs, and who knows what other monstrous races that are all en masse, have been fighting for weeks and weeks, trying to gain ground to get into Castle Arakelia. Castle Arakelia is known as the legendary home of the solitary dragon in the realm. This dragon is so legendary and solitary that it does not even have a name. It is simply known as the dragon. But intel has reached you in the recent months that for the first time in over 1,000 years, the dragon has given birth, has hatched a wyrmling. And the legends tell that young dragon wyrmlings have within their throats magical crystals that in this unrefined state, if removed from the throat of the dragon, can produce the most powerful, most amazing, and most beautiful flame if those crystals are struck together. And this is your mission. You need to get into the castle, find the young dragon wyrmling, slit its throat, and withdraw the crystals before any of the other monstrous hordes can get them. You do not want that kind of power to fall into the hands of the orcs, goblins, or any of those other monstrous races, because who knows what kind of horrors would fall across the land. But you also have, you believe, one additional piece of information that all of these hordes don't seem to know. and it could account for why none has yet breached the castle itself. Long ago, powerful magics were placed over the ruins of the castle Arakelia, preventing all but those of the female gender from entering the innermost areas. That is why your team has been assembled, because not only are you women, but you are among some of the most badass women known in this area. And as the flame begins to, the plane is circling around, growing closer to the castle, and you come down out of the clouds and swirling smoke of the battlefield. You can see the siege engines. You can see a bridge across a chasm leading to the front gate of the outer wall of the castle, where a large number of orcs have a battering ram and are attempting to batter their way into the inner walls. All around the massive courtyard, the walls have been breached by various races, and they're all warring inside with one another. You're going to drop into the middle of this battle, and you need to fight your way to the castle's front entrance. Get inside the castle, find where the baby dragon lays, slit its throat, get the crystals, and get out of there. Oh, and one more thing. Don't wake the mother. And as you're circling around, the wise man who's giving you his briefing sits next to the open doors. And he says, we're going to make one final approach, one final pass. Prepare yourself, lock and load, get ready. This is your last chance. I'm going to clear the path for you. As he reaches into a satchel and he pulls out 2 fireball potions. You have 1 pass of the plane making a low circle around the castle to formulate any other kind of plan that you want to do. Is there anything you four would like to discuss or plan? You got about 2 minutes. 2 minutes in game time. Kaylin, what's going through your head as you're on your final approach?
I'm going to, make it, not necessarily how I'm going to make it through this grouping, but how I'm going to make it safely to the ground without breaking my neck. So I don't have any type of levitation. So I'm going to have to rely on purely acrobatics at this, coming out of this.
And the wise man looks at you and he gives you just this kind of knowing look. I know that look, Kaylin. You don't think I'd let you go in without making sure you were covered. And he produces with a flare 4 feathers. And he hands them out to each of you. These will get you to the ground safely.
Fair enough.
Morgan, what are you thinking? You're muted if you're trying to talk, Melissa.
Didn't hear my name, sorry. I happily accept one of the feathers from a wise old man, and I look him in the face and say, "You always did know how to make a girl feel special."
Cinnamon, what's going through your head as the plane begins to round and prepare for the final approach?
Cinnamon is taking the feather. Meanwhile, she's kind of looking around at the ground, and the groups of enemies fighting each other and trying to figure out what's the best, most clearest path towards their final objective, which is to get into the castle. kind of decide whereabouts we should probably land in the ground.
And what's Kitty thinking?
Kitty is standing with one arm up on the edge of the opening and kind of hanging out a little bit. Her sword, which probably looks about as big as she is kind of swinging down over top, and she kind of looks over to her companion. She's like, now this looks like a good challenge. And with that, she kind of takes out a Walkman, and she puts it on her head around her ears, and then flicks on some music and kind of cracks her neck. And she's like, all right, let's do this.
All right, ladies, I'm going to clear you a landing zone. And as the plane banks around, he throws out, there's actually an open door on either side of the fuselage, and he takes these 2 fireball potions, and he goes and chucks them out the window. They hit the ground. 2 massive explosions that just send orcs, goblins, hobgoblins, kobolds everywhere, scattering. There are now 2 large areas that are about 30 feet in diameter that are kind of joined. They've actually formed almost like this figure 8 on the ground. And at that same moment, as the smoke dissipates, you see that one of the orc siege weapons has fired a flaming barrel right at the plane. And the wise man looks at you and he says, go, go, go! And you need to jump out of the plane now.
Grab hold of the feather, jump.
Fortune favors the bold as Morgan jumps out.
Kitty wants to do a superhero landing, where you kind of crouch down and put one hand down.
Yeah, the
Show off.
the feather fall, and with the momentum of everything, it slows your momentum enough that you won't take damage, but you all just come down through the smoke and the dissipating flames and just solidly ground cracks below you as you land, the 4 of you. And if you imagine a camera just kind of cinematically panning at 180 degrees as you and it just pans around, and we see the 4 of you all around you, 360 degrees around you, are monstrous enemies, brandishing wicked-looking blades. They've been fighting amongst themselves, and some of them further out are still fighting. The castle entrance is about 1,000 feet to the north. And that looks to be about 10,000 monsters crammed into this giant courtyard. We're going to go ahead and we're going to roll for initiative, and we are going to cinematically fight our way to the front door. So everybody, let's see what you get. So So that's going to go Karen. Nope. Morgan, you're going to be first. Cinnamon is going to be second, followed by the monsters, followed by Kitty, and Kaylin up last. So what would you like to do, Morgan, as all of these enemies are around? And you just tell me how you want to cut through. These things are basically like minions. You can just tell me what you want to do. I'm going to have you roll a couple dice after you describe what you want to do, and we'll resolve it that way.
All right, what ends up happening is when they between the feather fall and hitting the ground, when she hits the ground, she actually does so handstand first, going into kind of like a cartwheel. And as she hits her feet and starts to cartwheel one more time, she pulls out her rapier and she just goes for the knees and starts going whoosh, and just lops off some knees around her as she comes back up to her feet.
All right, roll me a d20 and add your dex mod.
That would be a 15.
So as you do this and you begin slicing with your rapier, it's almost singing as it rings through the air. And with a final flourish as you pull away, in that just split seconds, you've eliminated 15 monsters, a variety of kobolds, or I mean, they're just all mixed in at this point. Cinnamon.
So as Cinnamon is falling through the air, she's getting her rapier and hand axe ready. So when she lands, she kind of does, the cinematic rapier behind her back, hand axe in front. And as soon as she hits the ground, she's off and running. And she uses one of the bodies in front of her from the fire blast spell to kind of launch herself off. And she leaps into the air, kind of spins around, like does a twist in the air with her rapier out, slashes a couple of heads with one hand, and as she lands, she's like hand axe down on another guy, and then another back swing with her rapier.
All right, give me a d20 roll, and add. Basically, what we'll do is I'll have you roll your attacks, but we're just determining how you cut through all of these.
21.
Yeah, so you easily leave almost 24 dead kobolds and goblins in your wake. And it's just, I picture it as you're cutting through them. It's like the camera speeds up, shing, shing, shing. And then as you bring down your axe, it moves to slow motion. And then just speeds up as the goblin's head splits, as your hand axe finds purchase, driving it down to the ground, as your rapier kind of kicked it up, its speed out from under it, and then you drive it down. And it is now some of the monsters' turn. And at this point in this round, it seems to be the littlest ones are the boldest. Kobolds and goblins are rushing at the four of you. And just in your movements of looking around, you're either dodging out of the way of them, or they're just bouncing off of your shins and your hips as you just kind of hip check them. Nobody can seem to, it's just chaos and confusion, and none of them can seem to find their way to land a blow on you. And that's going to take us to Kitty.
So Kitty would stand up and she'd do a quick scan of the area, kind of nodding to the music as she looks around, and her eyes land on the siege weapon. I would imagine some of the biggest, strongest orcs are operating it, moving it around and so forth. And so she just has her sword kind of resting on the ground, and it is comically large. Like, she is this tiny, tiny person. And so as she begins to walk, she's dragging this sword behind her, but gradually she goes faster and faster and begins to run. and she runs so that the sword kind of picks up and is bouncing, and then her arm comes around and she just lifts it up and gets enough momentum to jump up, and with one just mighty swing she just brings it around just with a and she comes and tries to dispatch of some of these orcs.
Absolutely. Go ahead and roll a d20 with your attack.
So is that, what is modifying it, sorry?
Whatever your normal attack would be with the sword.
Okay. So yeah, all right. So 18.
So you're running up to this siege weapon that you can see now is a catapult. And there are these 4 orcs that are working to try to maneuver it around as they have already loaded it. And they're trying to swing it around as the plane is circling, hoping to take another shot at it. So all 4 of them are near the back of it, pivoting it. They don't see you. They never see you as you come hurtling over this thing. And there's just that swing and a loud ringing as your sword cuts through the air and strikes the ground. And for a moment, it looks as if nothing happened. And then the 4 orcs become 8 pieces of orcs as all 4 of them are sliced in half and they just slide apart. Kaylin, you're up.
Just taking my time, reaching up, pulling out both my swords. And then just start doing a graceful but mean swing. And that's with 2 swords.
All right.
And so that would just still be initially just the 1d20, correct?
Yeah, just go ahead and roll a d20.
Ooh, nat 20, nat 20, nat 20.
All right.
Yay, first time. Okay. So nat 20 plus 5, so 25.
I picture this as the rest of the ladies are already starting their chaotic melee. You're just slowly rising up from when you landed, and ever so gracefully reaching back, as you said, and pulling out your swords. And as you wind up and begin to spin around, it's as if the camera spins in the opposite direction, and the light of the siege weapon fires and everything else around just glints off of the blur of your blades. And you're able to actually literally clear a path as you cut through almost 50 goblins, kobolds, and gnolls, just like a whirling dervish. You're moving at angles, just swinging around, twirling. And the 4 of you continue to just decimate your way through this. They don't stand a chance. These warring factions outside here, it's like you're wading your way through a minorly inconvenient field of mud to get to your goal. And it only takes you a couple more minutes to close the distance to within 100 feet of the front entrance. You can see it looming above in the giant ruins of Castle Arakelia. And as you approach it, that's when you notice that the hordes are beginning to part from the sides of the castle to either side of the door. You can see a ripple going through as areas begin to part in much the way that it looks as the 4 of you cut your way through these hordes. And you can see from each direction a total of 4 figures, 2 from each side, begin to emerge from the crowds of goblins, gnolls, and hobgoblins, and what have you. The first figure is one of the most gnarly looking gnolls you've ever seen. And you can tell that this gnoll is a vicious female. And the creatures that are in her way, they don't move out of her way so much as they're tossed out of her way by a grotesque flail that she wields. Massive multi-tendrilled whip that you can see human skulls with iron spikes driven through them on the ends. The next figure that begins to emerge almost looks passive compared to this wicked-looking gnoll. She is a almost regal-looking hobgoblin carrying a staff, but she is wearing the robes of a magic initiate. The next figure doesn't emerge through the crowd in this same manner, but suddenly several kobolds and goblins just kind of go as this blur shoots up into the air, does a flip, and comes landing in the same way that you four came landing down in your superhero poses out of the plane. She hits the ground, her large bat-like wings, and then fold against her back. She stands, she cracks her neck, and withdraws a massive spear. And you can see that she has fiendish blood. She is a Cambion. A commotion behind her as a fourth and final figure tears its way through the crowd even more viciously than the gnoll did, as all creatures of all races, monstrous races, are flung to and fro. As you hear a growling as a massive mottled-furred Duralon, a four-armed giant gorilla, comes with all four arms, propelling itself quicker and quicker until it skids to a halt next to the Cambion, knocking about a dozen kobolds and goblins out of the way. It rises back. She raises her forearms, and with her forearms, beats her chest, spittle flying everywhere, as the four of them now stand between you and the front door to the castle. All of the other remaining warring tribes have parted and are fighting amongst themselves, but those closest seem to be rooting for what appears to be their own champions. Though it's hard to tell who's aligned with who, you do know one thing. These four challengers are all female, which means they know that what they need to do to get inside. And they're going to stop you, or try their darndest to stop you from getting that dragon and those crystals. And so we'll start back at the top of the order. And actually, I'm going to do something real quick as we do start with Morgan. I'm going to give them. No, you know what? I know what I'm going to do. Because they're not all. It would be very bad if they all four win at the same time against the four of you. So I'm going to spread them out a little bit. So it's going to start back at the top with Morgan. Choose your foe.
I've got the naked canary, Morrigan claims, as she moves forward, switching out her rapier for her pistol.
Did you say the naked canary?
Yes, I did.
All right. Yeah, roll your attack. If you get your, I assume that you meant the Cambion, the flying one. Okay.
Cambion.
I figured that. I love it, Naked Canary.
All right, that is a hitter.
What's that? I didn't hear it.
Am I rolling to hit her? Or?
Yeah, rolling to hit. This is going to be traditional combat.
Dang it, I'm losing your voice. Hold on.
Okay.
Yeah, for some reason I can hear you better over the YouTube feed than I can over my own feed, so.
That's weird.
Okay, so what's going on now?
All right, you just got to roll to a hit.
That would be a 19.
And that is going to hit.
Yay! That's 2d6s. Okay. Only 3.
It's as if
I'll make sure her makeup looks horrible.
it's as if she anticipated this shot as you called her a naked canary, and she attempts to deflect the bullet away, but it shatters on part of her scale mail armor, and you can see that some of it, as it shatters, it slices into her face, dealing the 3 damage. And so it is now going to be. It is going to be the female hobgoblin, the wizardly-looking one. Let's see. It's going to go for. It looks like at this point, it's hard to tell exactly who she's targeting because of her. She looks to be casting a spell as she makes the gesture and mumbles something. 3 magic missiles shoot out from the end of her fingers and hurl right at Cinnamon, all 3 of them striking Cinnamon for a total of 15 force damage. And each one of them is of a bright red light as they just arc out and kind of spin around and just every one of them slamming into Cinnamon. It is now Cinnamon. It's your turn.
So how far away are they? Approximately.
They're all. I would say they're all within about 30 feet of you.
Okay, she's gonna put away the hand axe and take out the revolver. And for her first attack, she's going to use the revolver and shoot it at Pretty Princess, because that's not very nice, Pretty Princess. And she'll shoot at her, and then we'll close in and do more damage, hopefully.
All right. So you're going to shoot at the one that just shot you?
Yeah.
All right.
I rolled a natural 20.
Oh, awesome. So yeah, so for crits, just roll your damage dice twice and then a modifier.
$23 points.
Wow. So this was just one shot?
That was just one shot.
Yeah, she's wearing these robes. You can see there's no real armor to stop the shot as it just slams into her chest, kind of knocking her back.
And then she's Cinnamon's going to close in and hit her with the rapier.
All right.
13.
That's enough.
Okay.
That is a hit.
$12 points of piercing.
Wow. So yeah, between your shot and following with the rapier, she's looking pretty bad. So it is the Cambion's turn now. The Naked Canary. And she is not at all pleased with what Morrigan has done to her. Just the act of attempting to strike her has pissed her off. And her response is to immediately hold her hand up, palm out towards you, Morrigan, and fire spews out from the end of her hand and a gout of flame towards you. And that's going to be a modified 20 to hit you. Ooh, 16 points of fire damage. As this just flamethrower right in your face.
Morgan yells, "You got the hot!"
All right, so that is then my order right here. That is going to be Kitty. Sorry, I mixed up some numbers. Kitty, you're up.
All right, so I think she would face the gorilla-looking thing, and she would say, "Aren't you a cute one?" And she put her hand down to her Walkman and change the music, and you can see her body kind of change a little bit. She kind of stands up a little straighter. She almost looks a little when she does this, and she holds her sword up and she's like, "All right, let's dance." And she swings at it with her sword.
All right.
It's at 22.
That is definitely going to hit.
And that's 14 slashing. And then she swings again. Back.
Okay.
And that's it. Yeah. She swings back, and that's another 20.
Good Lord.
Does 10 slashing.
All right. Yeah, your sword just cuts these massive, almost making an X in the chest of this Garrelon, as it just, even with 4 arms, it can't stop or block your attacks with the fury of that massive sword. And it is, let's see, the nasty looking gnoll moves in, looking up at the matches all around, and she's snarling and barking. Does anybody speak Abyssal? Then you all have no idea what she's saying, but even without understanding, you are fairly certain that she is insulting and cursing you, as she is going to. Looks like she's coming in for Kaylin. And as she begins moving towards you, good Lord. She is going to attack Kaylin as her flail, and you can now see as she's up close that this flail has 3 tendrils that are spinning off of it. And Kaylin, she attacks you for a 19 on the die, and that is definitely going to hit. That's a 28. And you are going to take 9 points of bludgeoning damage as the skull smashes into the side of you, and I need you to make a Constitution saving throw.
Yeah, big ol' 8.
As the skull slams into you, you feel your limbs tighten up. And anybody next to her would see as Kaylin has become paralyzed and falls like a statue to the ground. The flail continues around, and Cinnamon, one of the flails is coming towards you. That just makes your armor class at a 16. And as it hits you, you take 10 points of bludgeoning damage. And I need you to make a... Oh, there is no save for that. It hits you harder than anything has ever hit you before, as you take an additional 30 points of bludgeoning damage.
Okay, that knocks me far and away and down.
What's your max HP?
44.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, you see Cinnamon take a hard hit and hit the ground almost as hard. Whatever this thing is, it means business. And there's still a third flail coming around. And it's coming right at Kitty. And this flail 15 on a die. That's a 24 to hit. And you are going to take 13 points of bludgeoning damage.
So, while I'm raging, I have resistance to bludgeoning, piercing, and slashing.
All right, so you'll take 6 points of bludgeoning damage.
6? Okay.
And you need to make a wisdom saving throw.
Oh, good. I got a 5.
As this thing hits you and you just shrug off the damage, you feel this coldness seep into you through your shoulders, all the way down your arms to your hands, gripping your sword. And you need to attack one of your party members. And as you swing around, whoops, 1, 2, 3, 4. As you turn around, you see Morrigan standing there, and you just want to hit her with your sword. I need you to roll an attack against Morrigan.
That's a crit.
Roll the damage.
I'm so sorry.
Oh, it's okay. I understand. It happens.
So that's sorry, math. It's 21 slashing damage.
One more time, I couldn't hear the number.
$21 slashing.
How does that work? Because
Sorry,
I only have 28 hit points.
How many?
I already took 16, so 16 and 21 is 39, or no, 37.
What's your max hit points?
28.
So you're unconscious. You don't. There's no
Okay.
negatives. As long as you don't take enough damage to knock you down to the negative version of what your max hit points are, then you can still make death saving throws. So 2 of you are down. One of you.
Damn it! I missed the story.
One of you by one of your own hands. And the Garrelon is going to go now. Oh wait, no, sorry, my bad. It is actually it is Kaelin's turn.
All right, so how do I possibly get out of the predicament I'm in, being paralyzed?
Let's see. There's not anything you can do.
Okay.
The paralysis, 1 second.
Lasts how long? Dun, dun, dun.
My books are blocked in by something, but it will end if nobody else does anything to, which nobody did, and nothing attacked you, because attacks against you would have advantage. It will end at the end of your turn. So basically, it's like a lose a turn.
Yeah, basically, I lost a turn.
Yeah. So fortunately, while you were in your paralyzed state, nothing attacked you. And you kind of feel after a few moments as you actually see 2 of your companions fall to the ground. You regain feeling in your arms and legs, and you will be able to rise up on your next turn. And that takes us to the Garrelon, who is engaged with Kitty, and the Garrelon is going to. Let's see, it's taken quite a bit of damage, but it is going to attack. What? It begins pounding its chest as it comes towards you, Kitty. And you had turned away to attack your companion as a result of this flail hitting you. And one of the four arms just grabs you and spins you around to face it. As it begins swinging fists at you. Let's see, what's your AC?
It's 14.
As it basically just starts throwing punches. With one arm kind of on its shoulder, its other three arms are punching at you. You take 15 points of bludgeoning damage, which you said you're resistant. So you'll take 7 points of bludgeoning damage as these fists are pummeling you. Pays to be the tank. And as we get to the top of the initiative order, and before you make your first death saving throw, Morgan, you hear the of the plane that's been circling that dropped you off. And it's across the battlefield, and it's banked, but it's high up. And you suddenly hear as you see blasts coming out of the side of it, as there is a massive 30 cal repeating gun on the side of this plane that begins shooting down toward the battlefield and where you are. And that's going to be a hit. That's a hit. That's a hit. That's a miss. 3. That's a miss. And that's a hit. So 4 hits. So basically each one of these, where's my D12? Each one of these enemies takes 2 D12 of damage as these massive shells are just, the ground is exploding, erupting around you as some of the shots are missing. So the Cambion takes 12 piercing from this thing and 2 bludgeoning, so 14 total. The Hobgoblin takes 14, takes 19. You actually see the Hobgoblin, just a mass, those of you that are still awake, see the Hobgoblin, just a massive hole ripped in its chest as it collapses to the ground. And the Cambion takes 10, 19 plus 6, 24. Cambion takes a couple solid hits, but is still standing. And this gnoll fiend thing takes 9, 12, 16 points and barely seems to be phased. As you see from the portal next to this gun on the side, you see, I can't remember what her character's name was, but whatever Carol's character was, she was manning the machine gun covering you on the battlefield. And she just kind of leans out and gives you a kind of salute and a wave, and continues to circle the battlefield. So now, Morgan, I need you to make a death saving throw. D20. You need to roll a 10 or better. Roll a D20, you get a 10 or better.
Got me a 13.
That is one success on your death saving throw.
Whee!
And the hobgoblin would normally go next, but she's dead. So that is going to take us to Cinnamon. Cinnamon, you got knocked unconscious as well, correct?
Yes, that's correct.
So you also need to make a death saving throw.
13.
That's a success. That's one success. The Cambion is going to go. The Cambion looks down on the ground where the unconscious Morrigan is, and just spits in your direction. Not even, and then actually turns her nose up at where your unconscious body lies. She's not even going to waste her effort trying to attack you while you're down. But she is going to flare her wings and lunge forward toward, let's see, evens is Megan, odds is Yvonne. Looks like it's Kaylin that she launches herself toward with the spear held out, and you're just beginning to pull yourself up off of the ground. So let's see, that's a 9 with advantage. So that's a 16 to hit. That hits you. So you are gonna, hold on, I can't see. She's using it one-handed. So that is gonna do 1 plus 4. So 5 piercing damage. And as it pierces you, you feel your flesh begin to burn, and you take 1 fire damage. On the edges of death, it appears as though Morrigan is making a vow of enmity toward this naked canary. And so that takes us to Kitty. You now have control of yourself again. What is Kitty thinking, having just attacked one of her own against her will?
So what I can kind of imagine is, she hits Morrigan, kind of cutting her down, and then just stands there, kind of shocked. And that's when she's kind of grabbed and turned and hit. And she's still stunned as she just takes like punch after punch, and she is just like looking around. But then she shakes her head, and she kind of starts to lift her sword. But then anyone who's standing close to her can kind of hear some static in one of her headphones as she like jerks over towards the gnoll. And she turns and she takes a step towards it, which would totally provoke an attack of opportunity from the gorilla thing.
Yeah, and as you turn away, it just snaps at you. It tries to bite you, and it misses as you turn away aggressively. You can hear its teeth snap together with a cracking sound as you turn away from it to face this gnoll.
Yeah, she doesn't even, I don't think she would even register or even try to avoid it. But I think maybe the surprise of like, you just turned away from an enemy and started walking. and she would keep looking from the gnoll to Morrigan and back again, and she, like, just in an absolute anger, she would swing at this thing very, very recklessly.
All
So
right.
I have it. Yeah. So that's a 24 with the advantage.
That absolutely is going to hit.
Which is 9 slashing. But she isn't done. She turns, adjusts her weight again, and goes back for the backswing. And that's a 9, which I don't think will hit.
Reeling from the first strike, the gnoll spins itself, almost contorting itself, anticipating your backswing, and just deftly dodges out of the way of that attack. Do you have any other attacks?
No, she's just standing there, just like breathing hard, just staring at this gnoll, trying to stare it down.
And as you've just attacked it and you are engaged with it, it is going to attack you, bringing its flail around.
It also has advantage on me.
Two of its 3 attacks land on you as this flail spins around, these skulls spinning around. The first one hits you, and you feel more pain than you expected from it. That is a 15, so reduced down to 7 bludgeoning damage. And 20 points of psychic damage. Are you still standing?
Yes, I am.
I would expect so. I would expect so from the tank. The second hit that lands does 15 dot modified to 7 bludgeoning damage, and I need you to make a Constitution saving throw.
I got a 15.
You feel your muscles begin to tighten up, but something in you lets you strain against that, preventing the onset of paralysis. So you are not paralyzed. Kaelin.
Okay. So would my action for this then me coming up out of the paralysis?
Nope.
Okay.
At the end of your turn, you were unparalyzed, so because you were prone, it takes half of your movement to stand up.
Okay. So I think what I'm going to do is I have a hunger and a hatred for this gnoll now, and I want to see it dead. And so I'm going to throw a firebolt at it.
Nice.
So crossing fingers. So 19 plus 5, so that's 24.
Yeah. That's a hit.
Okay, and then that was 2d10. So that's 9 points of damage. And I also have the ability to do an action surge, which gives me an extra action.
All right.
And I would like to draw one of my pistols and fire.
Yeah. You're a fighter, don't you have 2 attacks?
Do I? See,
You guys are 5th level, right?
correct.
So you're a fighter,
I do have an extra attack.
you have extra attack.
I do. So I can.
So you can actually, yeah, you can actually attack with your pistol without expending that action surge. Yeah.
Okay, then I will do so. And so let's see here. 16.
That's a hit.
Okay, so that is 2d6. Ah, come on. 4 points.
All right.
Yeah. So I grazed.
You see a little bit of fur and blood fly as your shot pierces. All right. Anything else?
I think that's both my actions. I'm up, so I'm not prone anymore. So I'm good. I'm raring to go for next round.
You hear a roar behind you, Kitty, as the Garelon comes charging at you. Are you still there, Megan?
Yeah.
Okay. I hate to attack you if you're not there to witness it. And yes, I just rolled the dice 5 times. 3 hits. Because the 4 arms and its mouth, it gets 5 attacks. So you take 9 points of piercing damage. You take 8. That'd be 20 points of slashing damage. So in total, 29. So you take 15 points total damage from that with your resistance. As this Garelon just pummels you, clawing and scratching and biting at you. You should never have turned your back on her. And you hear it again. As Carol fires down from above. Miss, so it's a hit. Miss. Miss. That's a hit. That's a miss. And that's a miss. So the gnoll. I'm going to try something. Let's see here. Yep. All right. I think she would have known, watching the battlefield, would know enough to target her shots at the gnoll in particular, seeing that it's doing the most damage to you guys. That was 9, 11, 2, 37. As you see bullets you see bullets, these massive bullets, just pummeling into this gnoll that's been just devastating you guys, and it is shredded but still standing. I mean, like you see pieces of its side, like a big flap of fur and hair hanging down. You can see exposed ribs. This thing is sucking wind. Morgan, I need a death saving throw. For the record, I've never had characters have to take death saving throws so early in the game.
Well, it's we're playing a badass campaign, so I'm not surprised. I would be a net 20.
The pummeling
Yeah, you're not dying.
The pummeling of the everything happening around you is enough that it seems to awaken something in you. You pull yourself from the shroud of darkness as you are now conscious. And I think yeah, we'll just go with that. Right now you're at 1 hit point and you are conscious.
I have 1
And
HP dream. Can I take a shot with my pistol?
you know what? Yes, because you are a badass hero.
Yes! Because I feel that spittle go down my face, and I'm like, oh no, and you didn't. That would be a 23.
What are you targeting?
Is the canary still alive?
Yes.
Yep, that would be her.
Yeah, go ahead and roll damage because that's definitely a hit.
That would be 7! So much improvement. With the double digits now, girls. 10 points altogether. The 3 and now the 7.
All right. All right. Yeah, that nice solid shot on her as you come to consciousness and reflexively raise your pistol and take a shot. She's dead. The hobgoblin's dead. So that is Cinnamon. Another death saving throw. See if you can pull an at 20 out.
Nope, got a 13.
It's still a success. So you're getting closer to living. You can kind of hear muffled sounds of battle around you as you struggle to regain consciousness. The Cambion is going to cast a spell, and it is targeting Morgan. And because I'm bad and did not get my PHB out, I have to look the spell up real quick. And it is, I just got to make sure, I think you have to make a save. As she looks at you and she points a finger at you, Morgan, she says, "Halt!" And you need to make a wisdom saving throw. That's what I couldn't find.
Is that a charm spell she's working on?
Well, let's see.
Or is that paralyzation?
It's not paralyzation. And it's not a charm.
Sweet. Advantage! Half health. Oh, that's just mean, dice. Okay, so that's done. Wait, let me.
What's your
So
wisdom?
I got an 11 in total. To add my save to it. 8
You
plus 3.
find yourself unable to move as you are commanded to stay where you are. But she does not take any other action because she used her action to cast a spell against you. Let's see. Kitty, you are kind of between, you're between a gnoll and a Garrelon. And because of the nature of this, you can choose your target without drawing an opportunity attack from the other one.
Yeah, I was just gonna say that's my favorite place to be. Yeah, so she's gonna try to finish this this gnoll.
All right.
That's a 13.
The first attack is not enough.
She is just angry. But she cannot seem to land a hit as her rage is just overtaking her. It's making her sloppy.
You missed the second shot too?
And she's getting tired.
The gnoll, having taken so much damage from the bullets from the air support, is flailing blindly. And it's going to attack with disadvantage. And that is, you can see that. That is a crit fail on a disadvantage. Turn that around so you can see it. That doesn't matter. It's a 1. It critically failed. So as it's swinging its flail around, just like I said, it's flailing blindly. It does 2 things. As the flail swings, it misjudges where you are, Kitty, and spins away from you. And its flail comes around and begins to entangle it, provoking an opportunity attack from you. And it's also going to take damage from its own flail.
Yeah, I can almost imagine just like it comes around and it's not quite as precise as before, but Kitty kind of goes back and it kind of like slow motion. You can see like it just misses her, but then she kind of recoils and goes around and tries to hit. That's an 18.
That is going to hit.
Woo. For 11 slashing.
So I'm going to steal a line from the great Matt Mercer and say, so how do you want to do this? What does it look like as you finish off this gnoll that has been destroying you?
Yeah, so like I said, it was just like that close, just as the hair was, so the camera had to like zoom in and it was like slow motion and it keeps going and it kind of flails around herself, and Kitty takes the sword like just out of nowhere and just goes up and it just spears this gnoll right through the chest, and she just looks at this gnoll just watching the life drain from its eyes. She doesn't look away. She doesn't even blink. She just stares it down until the life is totally gone. And she just kind of, with a big tug, she just, and just takes it out and lets the gnoll just flop down. And she just kind of kicks it for extra good measure.
Awesome. And the gnoll is dead. And Kaylin, you're up, and there's still a Garrulon and a Cambion that are still in the spray.
Okay.
The Garrulon, the four-armed gorilla, she's looking pretty rough. The Cambion's taken a few hits, but is still standing.
Okay. Well, first I'm going to look over to Kitty and go, I wanted to kill it. How could you? I mean, fine, whatever, but still, I wanted to kill it. And then I holster my gun back in, take the swords, and go after the Carillon.
All right.
So we have 19 for the first attack.
That's going to hit.
And then a 24 for the second.
Yeah, that's 2 hits.
Okay. So let's see here. Hold on. 7 points. So yeah, 7 points of damage.
7 points total for both hits?
Yeah, because it's 1d6 per... I don't know. Do I do 1d6 per sword?
1d6, but you also get your modifier as well.
Right. And that's... Which modifier? Sorry.
You're attacking with Dex, I imagine. Oh, wait,
okay.
are you a Dex based? Well, it's your choice.
I am Dex based.
Okay, so what's your Dex mod?
+3.
So that's at least 6 points just from the pluses from the 2 hits.
Okay.
Because each sword does 1d6 damage.
Okay, so one sword was 1 and the other was a 6. So
that's 12 and 7. So that's 19 total.
Okay.
What does it look like with these 2 rapier attacks? How do you kill the Garrulon, the 4-armed gorilla?
the sword's coming up, the arms are coming off. And just feel no remorse whatsoever. Just, it's gotta die. You're out of here.
And I imagine it just like that. It's like almost unceremonious. As you had drawn these swords and it comes towards you, you just kind of like raising up and just making this commotion. You just, and just like you said, just straight up, and the arms just come off.
Yep.
And you've cut through some vitals as well, taking off parts of the shoulders. And it, just from the shock of it, it just collapses at your feet.
I look at it and then just kick it out of the way.
And that would have been the Garrulon's turn. With 1 target remaining, Carol is going to make 1 final pass with her air support. That's going to miss. That's going to miss. That's going to miss. Those are like 3, 3, 4. Okay, that's a hit. And that's a miss. So it's not really good at precision attacking. It's just you hear the doosh, 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 as these shots come in. But Cambion takes a couple more hits. It's driven to its knees, down on one knee, one hand on the ground, bleeding. You see steam rising from its wounds as it looks up. And Morgan, it's your turn.
Woo! Okay, I'm going to let off another shot with my pistol as my character. Or wait, can I, or am I still halted? Because you said halt.
Because of the hit that it just took. Oh yeah, that's a crit fail on its concentration. That broke the concentration on the spell that it had used on you. So you are not halted.
I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna go ahead and just lace it with fairy fire at that point because I've got my other two girlfriends here and they are ready to moita.
All right.
Do I roll something or is it just fairy fire? I don't know how it works in this edition.
Well, fairy fire. Actually, I think. Let me see here.
Oh, I think you have to. It says according to the spell, you have to make a dex throw. A dex
Yeah, I was
saving
gonna say. I
throw.
thought there was
or
a
your
dex
outline.
or a save with disadvantage because knocked down. That is a whopping. What's your spell save?
A number that I forgot to write. It would be 10 plus spell level plus.
It's 8 plus your what's your spellcasting modifier? Charisma.
Yeah, that'd be a plus 3.
8 plus 3 plus your proficiency bonus.
Another 3. So it'd be 14 in total.
14. And it has no bonuses to dex. It got a 12. So it failed. So it is illuminated in fairy
a beautiful
fire,
violet light.
which means that first, Cinnamon, you need to make your death saving throw.
$14.
And with that, you regain consciousness. You are stabilized. You're at 1 hit point, and you're just laying there, just coming to.
Can I do a bonus action at this point, or is that my turn?
That's your whole turn
Okay.
for the death saving throw.
Okay.
Not 3. That's Kitty. And because of the fairy fire, the Cambion being the last one standing, you would have advantage on attacks.
All right. So the Cambion is the last one standing. So, okay. Awesome. Oh, that's a crit.
Nice.
Woo. Woo. So that is math. 20 slashing damage.
Jesus. That was just from one attack?
And then, yep, with crit damage. And then, so with that, okay. Then she attacks again.
Yep.
That's the 21.
Yeah, that's a hit.
Damage. And then, because she has the great weapon master feat from level 4, and she rolled a crit, she can take another bonus action to do another attack.
What was the damage on the second attack?
10 slashing.
All right.
Hit.
It doesn't. But it doesn't matter because you're with that 30 points of slashing damage you did to it. It was already on its knee, down on one knee, and fairy fire illuminating it. And you just crisscrossed it with 2 great sword hits. How do you kill this Cambion?
So I can just imagine it's down on its knee, the fairy fire is igniting it, and she just would come down once on the shoulder and then come down again on the other shoulder. And she is just so like hyped up on adrenaline that she would go to do a third, take both hands and just try to drive it in. But she doesn't realize that this thing is already down. It already fell as she was preparing to do the third kind of strike in. So she misses that, but and then she would just drop to her knees. Actually, she would probably just drop and just start panting.
Yeah, and with each of your strikes, it's like that fast motion cuts to super slow motion as the blood arcs through the air, and then your sword speeds up and cuts down again in another arc. And the Cambion has already fallen to the ground as your sword swings through where it was and actually cuts through the 2 arcs of blood that are still flying through the air. There's that slow motion where you can actually hear ting, ting as the blood is striking the broad blade of your greatsword. And then you drop. Distantly around the 4 of you, the battles amongst themselves still rage on. But as this fight progressed, any creatures that were nearby realized they were far outmatched on any side and cleared a large swath of land and moved far away from you, leaving the path to the front entrance to Castle Arakelia open and unguarded. And we're going to take a quick break right here. So think about when we come back, we can assume that you make it to the interior of the castle. We think of it kind of like a commercial break, where when you come back, you're just inside. And think about what you guys want to do any kind of, if you want to do any kind of healing or short rest or anything like that, and kind of think about those. I'm going to do a couple quick announcements here, but you all can feel free to go ahead and take a break if you wish. And we'll come back in about 5 minutes or so. So, if you are joining us on the live stream, which I know a handful of people have been popping in and watching, I want to thank you for tuning in for Ladies Week. Oh yeah, and one more thing. Don't Wake the Mother, a D&D 5th edition adventure inspired by the movie Sucker Punch. And that I'm running in honor of Ladies Week, which is in recognition of Domestic Abuse Awareness in October in the United States. Taylor, in our community, inspired this movement of Ladies Week to run games with all female players, to run all female casts, female GMs to run games. And games are happening all over the Absolute Tabletop community. And I know with other things going on in the media and in the world that a lot of other people are stepping up and doing similar things in their own communities as well. I want to thank these 4 amazing players for stepping into the grindhouse as within the first 45 minutes. I got 2 of them in the death saving throws. I would say also, if you want to know more about Ladies Week, be sure to head over to facebook.com/somethingrpgish or somethingrpgish.podbean.com, or look for Something RPGish on iTunes or whatever your podcast aggregator is. We just released episode 17, Ladies Week, in which we sat down and talked with Taylor about her inspiration for Ladies Week. I want to thank you for tuning in. We're going to take a quick break, and we will be back in just a few moments.
All right. Aquibian, I think, said in the chat that my microphone was off. Can you hear me all right, Megan? Do I sound different, better?
Yeah, you sound better. It was sounding like kind of far away. Also, that's Connor.
Oh, you know what it was is in my settings, for some reason, somehow it had gotten switched to the onboard mic. So apparently the whole first half of the game, I was running off of the laptop microphone. That pisses me off. I checked
Yeah,
the settings.
it sounds a lot better.
You still sounded fine on YouTube. You sounded absolutely fine on YouTube. I had no problem hearing you.
All
It's
right.
over the Google Hangouts. It's like blurp,
Well,
blurp, blurp.
that was just annoying. Well, that would explain why you were. I'm like, I have a Blue Yeti. Why can't you hear me? So every time you were struggling to hear me, I was leaning into it, and it obviously was doing no good. And because my monitor, my speakers were set up for the Yeti, I could still hear myself through the microphone. So I thought it was working fine. Blast it all. All right. Well, thanks, Connor. Melissa, you were asking about hit point loss.
Oh yeah, just figuring out who's at where so I can distribute what heals I have. I don't have a lot, but I have some.
So while we're waiting for Yvonne, you guys will have. I don't know if anybody has. Whoever has magical healing, you'll be able to take advantage of that. You can also spend. You can also spend hit dice. I guarantee you won't get another rest. So, if you wanted to spend up to all of your hit dice, and if you're not sure how those work, you simply roll your hit die, add your con modifier, and add that to your hit points.
Okay.
You know, not to metagame too much, but if you were to do that, that might be the better route to go, and before using magical healing. Because you guys haven't even seen the dragon yet. So something you guys have witnessed firsthand is I really don't give a shit about a counterbalance. I put together what I think are cool encounters. And even my bad guys in that first half were all over the board in terms of challenge ratings. One of them was below your guys' challenge rating, and I think two of them were below, and two of them were above, and one of them was well above your challenge rating. I did not expect to knock two of you out and almost TPK in the first half of the game. Thank goodness for Kitty the Barbarian with her raging tank damage absorption. And those brutal great sword attacks. So
They hurt so good.
As I said, you guys are able to get inside the castle and kind of catch your breath. It's basically a short rest for all intents and purposes. So you can go ahead and do whatever healing. So, Melissa, you would go ahead and roll that D6, and everybody would gain whatever that is from your Song of Rest. And then if you want to spend your hit dice and anybody wants to distribute magical healing, go ahead and take care of that now. And now that you guys are all through that and inside the castle, you are free to use this time that you're healing and resting to formulate the next step of your plan.
Kitty would actually go up to Morgan and just kind of, just kind of put back one of her headphones. and just kind of shuffle around a bit, looking down at the ground. She'd be like, "We good?"
Morgan does a little double fist to your shoulder. Probably just like, "We're always good, always good, Kitty. I know you don't mean it."
And she'd look up with this like half smile. She's like, "Yeah.
Because if you meant
Yeah.
it, I'd be dead.
Yeah, I totally pulled back. Yeah.
Don't worry, I'll be editing that part out of the adventure. Remember, only the super cool parts. Me getting hurt is not super cool. No one knows about this but us. And she looks at everybody in the eye. Shh, no one knows about that but us. Oh, and you never went down, my lovely. Pointing at oh my god, I forgot your character's name, Karen. Cinnamon? It's like, you didn't go down either, Cinnamon. You were in total locked battle. Just giving hits, taking hits.
I just took a nap. That's all. You guys had it
No,
all
there was no
covered.
nap. It was a battle trance. Battle trance, Morgan.
There you go.
And I will toss a heal your way, of course, Kitty.
I love that Morgan is rewriting the adventure as it happens.
Oh, yes, I am. Carol called it. She just didn't know how well.
You know, history is always written by those who are the winners.
That is right. I'm gonna do a higher slot, third slot level healing word on Kitty. That would be another 12 hit points for you, Kitty. Anyone else need some more healings?
Man, my spellcaster did not stand a chance against the four of you.
I considered going after her because I knew I was squishy and she was squishy, and I was like, no, I'm here to be badass. So I went for the canary.
And when we lost Carol and I couldn't get a fifth player back in, I decided to leave the slot out. I decided that Carol would be essentially would function as like a legendary action on initiative count 20 every round, providing air support. Very similar to this mission in the movie Sucker Punch, if you watch that. So you've divvied up your heals. You guys want to come up with a plan of attack, what you're going to do next?
I definitely have a silent spell still in reserve for just an occasion, so we don't alert the mother sound-wise.
Yeah, because I'm not the quietest. If y'all didn't know, if y'all remember, I mean, I guess we won't even mention that mission, will we?
No, it was really fun to watch you literally scream in every enemy's face, and they just went and then died. It was, oh my god. That's one of my favorite parts of that ballad.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
So while you don't know the layout of the castle, you know that this ruined castle has been the home to the dragon for centuries. And the tales have told that it came in through somewhere in the center of the castle through the roof and made the middle of the castle and the dungeons its lair. So you know you need to move towards this middle of this castle. So you just need to determine what your marching order is going to be. Who's going to take point?
I think Kitty would probably take up the rear with her giant sword just behind her. She would kind of switch her music kind of switch it, just kind of shake her head, kind of switch it again, look around at the atmosphere, shake her head, switch it again. And then she finally finds the right song that fits the atmosphere. She just kind of nod.
What kind of music is it?
It's it's the Sweet Dreams song by
The Eurythmics?
yeah.
Or is it the
It's the Emily Browning one.
Oh, okay.
Mhm.
All right. I was gonna say maybe it was the Marilyn Manson cover, but
Oh, there we go.
that's one of my
Okay.
favorite songs. I like all covers of that song. So either way, excellent choice. Okay. So you're taking up the rear, listening to some meta Sucker Punch soundtrack. And who's taking up the point? Who's in the lead?
I volunteer Kaylin.
Shh, hush you. No, I was just going to quickly ask, how dark is this place?
It's not where you're at now. It is not very well lit.
Okay, well, I have goggles, and I have goggles at night, so I can put those on. I can easily see in the dark. So I'll take lead then.
All right. So who's coming up second? Morgan or Cinnamon?
I can go second. I'm thinking I'll also probably go a little bit to the word like the side. I'm kind of stealthy, so I'd like to, kind of be kind of in the shadows, not right in the way of Kaylin, who's in the lead. So kind of off to the side and stealthily moving. I cannot see in the dark though, so if it gets really dark, I am going to be
So basically,
at a disadvantage.
right now, it's dim light. With your goggles, Kaylin, you can see as if it's normal light. So everybody else that remind me, Morgan, because I can never remember. Do half elves have dark vision?
I want to say yes, but that might be my old version in my head. Hold on. I have the player's handbook right here. I can look at it.
I always forget if they have. I always forget which of the, like the half orcs and the half elves in them, if they can see.
Yeah, I can see dark vision 60 feet in dim conditions.
Okay, excellent.
Dark and dim.
So that means that Kitty and Cinnamon are going to be at disadvantage on any perception checks that rely on sight. Okay, let me get this out of the way. Excellent. Okay, so as you begin maneuvering through the castle, you start finding your way towards, just in general, moving towards the center of the castle. Sometimes you have to go up some stairs. Sometimes you have to go down some stairs. Sometimes you have to go down a hallway. The closer you get towards the center, you notice two things. One, the walls and floors and everything become more and more cracked. And you notice that the temperature is getting warmer. And I need everybody to make a stealth check.
As it gets warmer, could I have made the decision to start throwing the silence spell, since I assume we're getting towards the heat of the the source of the heat, which would be the dragon.
You can do the silence spell when you want, but
Okay.
but it doesn't move with you. It only goes to 1 point.
No, I can't put it on a rock and then carry the rock.
No, silence works on
Okay.
as an area effect.
Okay, so they changed that. I'll keep that in mind. Thank you.
Yep, I was just checking it out. Yep. So it is silence is immovable. Unmovable, immovable, however you say that. Anyway. All right. So how's everybody doing for stealth?
I got a 20.
21, a 20, a 12. Kaylin, how'd you do?
What are we adding to that?
You would add your dex bonus, and if you're proficient in stealth, you would add your proficiency.
Okay. So let's see.
So that's 12. All right. Who was in the lead, Kaylin? I need you to make a dexterity save.
$21.
It's as if your senses just feel the presence as you begin to round a corner. And you are able to duck and dodge as a giant club swings around, smashing into the wall next to you. There's an orc on the other end of this club standing in front of you.
Lovely.
You can take an attack against him as you normally would.
Okay. Then don't want to use my pistols right now, so I'm going to use my swords. 16.
As his club bashes in and you duck under him, I imagine you're just kind of rising up and your rapier piercing him underneath the arm, right through his side and into his heart as he collapses at your feet. You continue moving through the castle. I need another stealth check from everyone.
$20.
Okay. 20, 22. All right. So you make it through that section of the castle. Nobody hears you coming. You don't even hear yourselves moving through that section. There's a long series of rubble-strewn stairs that you need to descend. Parts of it are shrouded in shadow. I need another stealth check as you descend these stairs. And speak up if at any point, if anybody wants to try to do anything, if there's any spells you want to cast or any other thing you want to do.
I actually was just going to ask, I'm extremely proficient in acrobatics. Is there any way I can use that descending down these steps?
What do you want to do? Cartwheels down the stairs?
No, just sidestepping and, hopping over things and such.
I'm going to allow it. I'm going to allow it. Yes. I'm going to allow that. You can use down the stairs, you can use your acrobatic skill as your stealth roll.
Okay. Then that's better. Then better than what I had.
Okay. So that's 1, 2. And what'd you get, Karen? How'd Cinnamon do?
So the dim light is obviously affecting Cinnamon a little bit. As she's going down the stairs, she stumbles on some of the rubble, and it clatters down the stairs. I got a 9.
I think she would run into Kitty. Because I got an 8.
So Morgan is moving like air through the grass, wind through the grass, making barely a rustle. Just Kaylin is just on tiptoes, dodging around loose stones, barely touching the steps. So she definitely moves down. And suddenly behind them, they hear this metallic clatter and ring of rocks off of metal, armored foot off of stone, causing a couple more stones to clatter. And you just kind of hear this stones falling down the stairs. And I imagine everybody freezing for a moment. And then you feel more than hear a rumbling of the entire castle. You got me with that one, Megan. Fool of a took. So, the next couple of stealth checks, at least this next one, as you continue on your way, is going to be at disadvantage. So I need everybody to roll stealth at disadvantage.
I got a 20.
She redeems herself. Kitty's continuing to just hobble along, shuffling her feet, kicking at stones. And how did Morgan do?
Imagine that at all the noise, she jumps like whoosha, and like she doesn't move, and then from that point, like she's trying to be tiptoey, but from all the stuff they were kicking up, now she's kind of stumbling on that. She's like, oh.
So you managed to make it this next section across this open hall. You went down these stairs, and then there's a long section you're moving across, and now there's stairs leading up. You made no noise going across that. I need everybody to give me a perception check. The two that don't have dark vision, you're doing so at disadvantage.
11.
5, fail, 11, 12. Wow. All right. Kitty, an arrow thunks into the ground next to your feet, missing you. Cinnamon, an arrow strikes you, dealing 4 points of piercing damage as it hits into your leg. Morgan, you hear as an arrow sings past your ear and clatters off a stone behind you. And Kaylin, same thing. An arrow whizzes past, misses you, clattering into the ground. Up at the top of the stairs, you can see now that there are 4 goblins with bows. And we'll go Morgan. I'm going to keep the same initiative order from before.
All right, question. What's the what's the action for activating a magic item? Like, I don't know what the speed for that is. Is there action taken, or can I just do it? Is it a bonus?
It depends on what it is. Each magic item has its own. So
I just have slippers of spider climbing.
I believe those are just there.
Okay, cool. Because then what she does is at this, in order to get herself out of the way of the amazing kitty behind her, so that she can make her charge, Morgan just sidestep and just runs up the side of the wall. I don't know how high the ceiling is, which is fine. Like, she's just gonna go like a few steps above the party, and then she takes a pistol shot at the nearest goblin.
Yeah, basically you don't have to activate them at all. Your climbing speed is equal to your walking speed. And these ceilings, because you're at the bottom of this area, you've got about a good 30 feet. You could go a full 30 feet before you'd hit ceiling. So you just run up the wall and take a shot at a goblin?
Yeah.
Awesome. Roll your attack.
Dang it! It's a 13.
That is a hit.
Yay!
And it just disintegrates. Just the back of this goblin's head just explodes. And it is Cinnamon's turn. 3 goblins remain.
3 goblins. Okay. So that pistol just made a huge, loud noise, right?
That is correct.
All right. So stealth is kind of gone. I will. I'm going to. How far away are they at this point?
They're probably about 30 feet upwards, up the stairs.
Okay, I'm going to do kind of like what she did in the beginning, where she's going to pull out a revolver, shoot one, and then charge and rapier swing both of them because she's got 2 attacks.
All right.
So revolver, 19.
That's a hit. You strike down one of the goblins.
Okay, and then for the rapier attack, 13.
There's a hit. Cutting down another goblin.
I guess the first shot is actually considered an attack, right? So that would be the 2 attacks? Is that how that works?
But oh wait, because you have the pistol in one hand and the rapier in the other.
Yeah.
So yeah. That takes us to trying to read these notes here. Kitty. 1 gobbo remains at the top of the stairs.
How far away is it?
30 feet up the stairs.
All right. I just kind of stomp up to it. Kind of mumbling to myself about the stupid goblins, stupid making noises, stupid. She's going to take out her anger at her inadequacy of sneaking by trying to chop off this goblin's head.
Roll the attack.
That's a 20.
That you just cleave this goblin. It was pretty much standing there in just quivering. You actually see a puddle at its feet after just the rapidness with which you reacted, and everybody's dispatching its companions. And its last act on this earth was to piss itself before you slice it in half.
Yeah, I don't even look at it. I'm already turned around, kind of looking at my companions, like seeing what's next. Like, now that we've made all this noise. So she just kind of turns and just like, shing.
And now, at the top of the stairs, you can see there's a long hall, at the end of which there is an archway. And you can see a glow, a bright yellow glow from the other side of that archway. And yes, they were lady goblins. They'd have to be if they were inside the castle. But they were no ladies. So this archway is about 100 feet at the end of this long hall. And all you can see from here is a bright yellow glow emanating from the other side. Are you going to keep your same marching order, or?
I'm going to try and scout ahead in a more stealthily fashion along the wall and ceiling.
All right. Go ahead and give me stealth with advantage.
That would be 21.
You are able to move along the walls and ceiling the 100 feet until you get to the archway. And as you approach it, the light becomes less bright and more diffuse. And you can see through into the other side. What was probably at one time some sort of grand audience chamber is now mostly wide open to the ceiling, up into the sky. You can see that there is, where floors probably were centuries ago, have long since been broken away. Extending out from the doorway for about 30 feet is a 10-foot wide path of floor that ends abruptly in a large mass of bones and branches. You can actually see a bit of treasure lying around it. And in the middle of it, rising and falling as it sleeps, the size of an elephant, is a red dragon wyrmling. As it sleeps rhythmically. This is your goal. What would you like to do?
I would like to signal the group. I haven't worked with them before. I'm sure they've seen it before, where I'm kind of on the ceiling. I kind of extend my arms out and kind of wave them at both of them, so they know it's clear to come forward. And then I'm going to drop the silence spell centered on, you said it was 30 feet from the...
Yes, 30 feet from the entrance, which your silence spell has a range of 120 feet.
Then I can throw it? Okay.
You basically, as long as you can see the target within 120 feet, you place it, and it extends as a 20-foot sphere.
Okay, 20 foot. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to put the edge of the silence spell reaching the opening of the room so that it'll extend past and over the dragon and cover that area. Yeah. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah. Yeah, I got
Okay.
you. I'm just checking its range, 20 feet. 20-foot radius.
Yeah, so I get 40 feet.
So, yes, it's actually 40 feet. So, yes. So, there is this almost like a muffling and kind of glassy sound as the silent spell takes effect, like a shroud, and the snoring of the sleeping dragon just goes away.
Kitty would kind of point to. You guys are both fighters, right? Cinnamon and Kaylin?
Yeah, I'm a fighter.
Okay, so I would kind of point to one of you probably Cinnamon, and kind of gesture for like you and me to hold. Just hold, and then maybe to Kaylin or Morrigan just to like slit its throat.
Looks like in their tiny windows, they're giving you thumbs up. They're really in character with the silent hand signals. All right. If you're going to carry it out, go ahead and describe exactly what you're going to do. As you move into the silence, the sphere of silence, you will make no sound and you will hear no sound.
So if Cinnamon follows me, I would go up and kind of wait until she's like directly across from me, and maybe until everyone is kind of set up. Does that kind of look to each person, ready, and kind of give a nod to each of them just to make sure that they're ready to go. The person who's slitting the throat has the knife, and Cinnamon, you and I are ready to grab this thing because it's gonna wriggle.
All right.
So then I would slowly mouth like 1, 2, 3, and then I grab the one hand on the throat and the other hand on the muzzle and try to bend it up so that the neck becomes exposed.
And who's actually doing the cutting?
That would be me.
And where are you, Morrigan, while they're doing this? Are you still on the ceiling?
I've moved forward a bit and walked along the wall a bit. So then when I put the bubble, I'm outside it and up. So I kind of have I can look over and around what's going on one side.
Okay. So you're kind of providing overwatch on them.
Yeah.
And then Cinnamon, you're assisting with the grabbing of the...
Yes, I'll aid Kitty.
Okay. You grab a hold of this dragon, this sleeping dragon, and you start to pull back on its head. And I want you to make a strength check. And it's with advantage because Cinnamon is helping you.
It's a 15.
The dragon also got a 15. So there's this moment where you go to pull it up and you see, as one hand is on its muzzle and you're right next to it, you see that the eye opens up right next to your face. And there's this weird moment where the pupil, this slit-like pupil kind of dilates and the eye rolls to look at you. And you feel its muscles tensing up. Make another strength check. With advantage. Weird.
25.
This time without a problem. It's like it anticipated you going in a different direction, and you are able to easily pull its head back and expose its throat. So now the throat is exposed. Kaylin, you're going to slit the throat?
Yes.
I'm not going to make you roll to hit.
Okay.
Because it's right there. and you're slicing its throat. But I want you to make a strength check
Oh,
with advantage.
okay. $16.
There's a moment where your blade, you start to draw your blade across its throat, and it doesn't seem to be doing anything. And you push a little more pressure, and you feel it just like once it gets through that outer hide, it's like cutting through butter as you cut across the dragon wyrmling's throat, opening it wide. Blood and steam issue forth from its throat. Its mouth, its muzzle in your hands begins to strain Kitty, and you imagine that if it weren't for the silent spell, you would probably hear this dragon wyrmling screaming in your ear the death cry of the first and last dragon born in 1,000 years as you've just slit its throat. Somebody's got to reach in and grab the throat crystals.
I saw a whole lot of not it.
Yeah, that's what I saw. Megan and Karen both quickly touched their noses.
They're like, not it.
And Morgan's nowhere near here, so it looks like
it's me, I guess.
It looks like Kaylin, you're reaching in to grasp these two. I need you to make a dexterity check.
Okay. Really? Nine.
Megan, I need you to make a strength check as the dying dragon wyrmling bucks in your grip as Kaylin reaches her arm into its throat.
Is that just normal or still with advantage?
Because Cinnamon's helping you, it is with advantage.
$18.
You're able to hold it as you can feel while it's struggling, its strength is already beginning to ebb. Make another dex check with advantage this time, Kaylin.
$11.
This time, your hand grazes and then grasps one of the throat crystals. And then next to it, you can feel the other one. You'll need to reach in with your other hand. Now that you've found them, there's no need to make a dexterity check. But if you reach in with both hands to grip these crystals, I need a strength check to pull them out.
Not my forte. Okay. See, y'all should have done this and not me, huh? Let's see. No way to get around it. It's a whopping whole 8.
With advantage again, Kitty, it bucks against you as Kaylin is attempting to rip the spark of its fire from its throat.
Yeah, that first roll was a crit fail. So the second roll was a 16.
Whew. It bucks hard, and you maintain control of it for a split second, you started to lose control, and it actually worked to Kaylin's advantage. As it bucks, Kaylin, you don't even so much move your hands as the dragon wyrmling pulls away from your hands. And two massive shard-like crystals with connecting tissue still trailing from them and hanging out of the throat of this dragon are suddenly in your hands. And you can feel these crystals simultaneously in your hand like magnets, both wanting to attract to each other and repel one another. You know with these crystals that if you strike them together, you will produce a controlled, powerful, beautiful burst of flame. As the crystals are ripped from the dragon wyrmling's throat, it begins to go limp in Cinnamon and Kitty's arms. The eye that's next to your face, Kitty, the pupil dilates further. The fiery glow within begins to dim. The globe of the eye rolls backwards into the head. And then first the primary lid, or the secondary lid, and then the primary lid flutters and closes as the dragon wyrmling goes limp in your arms, dead. Morgan, give me a perception check.
That would be 19.
You see all of this unfolding. You see the dragon wyrmling go limp. You see the crystals with their slight inner glow and the muscle tissue still clinging to them in Kaylin's hands. And you notice that the room is growing just a little bit brighter as there's an illumination from below. And though no one else can hear it, and you can't hear what was going on inside the sphere, you hear, Morrigan, from deep below. And then you hear a screech of massive proportions. None of you can hear this, but all of you can see as outside of the sphere of silence, outside of the edge of this length of floor where the dragon wyrmling was nesting, flames begin to lick up high on all sides except for where the door is around you, and you can feel a rumbling in the floor. What would you like to do?
I drop the silence spell and yell, where? And I run for the door.
I make sure the muscle tissue is off these stones and I pack them away.
You pack them away how?
Wrap them up separate so they don't touch each other.
Okay. I just drop them in my bag.
No.
All right. As the silent spell drops, sound begins rushing in. You can hear the rumbling and the echoes of the roar. You can actually still hear high above the waning echoes of the dying screech of the dragon wyrmling. As Kaylin rapidly wraps these stones, throat stones, and puts them in her bag. And that's when this massive form, less than 20 feet away from you, off the end of this walkway, rising from what was once floor and has to be even deep into the subterranean areas below the dungeons. And this massive form of this red dragon rises up to look at you. Fire in its eyes. Its throat beginning to glow as its head arches back and it billows its wings. And we're going to roll for initiative. Really? Okay. All right. So all right, Karen, what'd you get?
6.
6. Okay. So it is going to be Kitty, you're going to go first, followed by Kaylin, followed by Morgan, followed by the dragon, followed by Cinnamon. All right. Kitty, what are you going to do?
Well, how far away? We're right up close to it, right?
You're right at the nest area, so you guys are all right there at the end of this walkway. It's 30 feet from you in open space.
Yeah.
I would actually say the bulk of its body is 20 feet from you because the 30 feet would be kind of like where it's centered on. Because of its bulk, it's actually, there's about a 20-foot gap from the edge of the walkway to the dragon itself.
Well, first, she would kind of click the music. And as cliche as this is, I can imagine maybe Supermassive Black Hole by Muse to play. And I think she would start running away. That's what she would do.
All right. So are you going to use a dash, or are you just going to use your normal movement?
Yeah, I'm going to use all my movement and my action to move. So I can move 40 feet. So that's 80.
Yeah, so you charge out of there. There's a brief skittering of bones and coins and gems as you get your footing under you, and you just take off, charging for the door as it's beginning to charge its breath, it appears. Kaylin, you're up next.
I am also making a run for it.
So, Kitty, you went 80 feet. So what's your movement, Kaylin?
Mine, unfortunately, well, let's see. My speed is 30.
So you can get 60 feet away on a dash.
Okay.
Morgan, you were already 30 feet away. And what are you doing? Are you ducking out around the corner? Or are you running along the walls and ceiling?
Oh, I'm definitely running along the walls. There's no time for stairs.
All right. And then, so what's your movement?
I've got 30.
So you're going to dash as well. Excuse me. With Cinnamon,
who seems to be the slowest of us all.
Right now, that would be Cinnamon, who is still standing there as the dragon now is going.
I will grant her a bardic song die in case she needs it as a bonus action, if I can.
There's a pretty darn good chance that you're going to need this. That's not even a
And
roll.
the die is a D8.
So let's see. So Cinnamon is the only one who's going to be caught in this because it's breathing out in a 60-foot cone. So it's pretty much covering the entirety of this all the way to the doorway. Cinnamon, I need you to make a dexterity saving throw. Probably the most important dexterity saving throw you've ever rolled.
And then I get to add the bardic die on top of that. Is that correct?
That is correct, because you can add that to saving throws.
$17.
Unfortunately, it's not enough to have the damage. That's 8, 9. And hold on, it's okay. 9 and 12, 21 and 29. Nine, 39, 42. 53. 63 points of fire damage.
Yeah, so Cinnamon becomes a glowing, flaming
What's your max
torch.
HP? What's your max
40,
HP?
44.
Okay, so you're not dead.
No?
No. If you have 44, you would have, if you had taken 88 points of damage,
Okay.
that would have killed you outright. You are scorched. Your clothes are on fire. Your hair is burned off. And before you can even begin to run, you see, maybe you guys don't see because you took off running. I think Morgan would be the only one that would have seen as she kind of turned and granted this inspiration. You would see as Morgan or as Cinnamon disappears in a gout of flame from this dragon. And it's actually your turn, Cinnamon. So for your turn, and not for the first time this game, you need to make a death saving throw.
I rolled a 16. I'm really good at these. So
All right. So that is one success as you lie smoldering on the floor. Kitty, running down the hall 80 feet away. Cinnamon has just been engulfed, immolated by this dragon. What are you going to do?
To be completely honest, I do not know if Kitty would have noticed. I think she would have just been worried about getting out, getting away, not dying. So I'm not sure if she would even look back, and if she did, it would probably when she had like rounded a corner or something where she felt she wasn't in imminent danger of being flamed.
Okay, so you're continuing to sprint on out.
Yeah.
So based on the time it took and everything else, I'm basically what I'm doing is I've got a D4 here that I've actually flipped it once because we're on the second round. It'll take a total of 4 rounds of just straight movement to get out. So it's going to take, at the speed, if you don't look back or stop or anything, it's going to take you 3 more rounds to get out of the castle. So that would take us...
And is it just one straight? It's not just one straight move. There's like turns and...
No, that's accounting for that because you made several turns. You went down the stairs, up the stairs, all that kind of stuff.
Okay, I think as soon as she made her first turn, she would make a quick look back, which I think would probably slow that down.
So that would be pretty much would be at the end of this movement. Mm-hmm. Would be where you'd make that turn to those stairs you came up where you killed the 4 goblins. That's where you are right now. You're going to turn to the left to go down the stairs, and I can see you turning and looking down the hall and seeing as that flame is dissipating and seeing the silhouettes of Morrigan running along the wall and ceiling and seeing Kaelin also hurling down the hallway. and seeing as the flame dissipates, the smoldering form of Cinnamon lying on the floor. And that would be at the end of your sprint. So that's then going to take us to Kalen. You were just outside of the reach. I mean, you felt the heat on your back, Kalen, from this fire of this dragon.
As I have the objective items with me, I mean, my first priority, not to say that, you know, everybody in my team isn't my priority, but as I have the items, priority is to get them out and get them away from the situation. So I'm going to continue running.
All right. So you are about 20 feet shy of where Kitty is getting ready to make that round to go down the stairs. Morgan. What are you doing, Morgan?
With the fact that I am so maneuverable, is there a way I can roll a stealth check to hide?
I don't know that you would even need to roll stealth because you're on the other side in this hallway, and with you being able to run up on the walls and ceilings, you're able to put yourself in a out of line of sight of the dragon.
Okay. I am going to hold around to see if the dragon leaves or moves on to see if I can make a dash for Cinnamon.
Okay. It is the dragon's turn. And it hovers there for a moment. And then with a screech and a roar, and massive beats of its wings, it takes flight, rising up and out of sight. And that was unintentional poetry. As the bard's rubbing off on me. As the dragon rises high up above. Let's see, that would be... You would actually hear a moment later a tremendous crash, and stone and rubble would begin to fall all around, most of it landing inside or falling into the open pit around there. So at this point, because you held your action, you'd be able to, now would be the time that you could dash to Cinnamon.
That would be my action.
So it would take you a full dash to get back to Cinnamon's body. All right, Kitty. You see Morgan sprinting back to Cinnamon. What do you want to do?
She would see Morgan sprinting back, and she knows that there's really nothing she can do as she's so far away. It would take too long to come back, and by that time, so she would make the decision to keep running.
All right. Continuing your run, you'll still have about 2 more rounds before you get outside. Kaylin, are you continuing to run as well?
Yes, I am following Kitty, and we're making our way out.
All right. Morgan, you have made it to Cinnamon. She's in bad shape.
I definitely dropped another healing word on her. I'm going to use I think I still have one. Yeah, I'm going to use a 2nd level spell slot for it. That would be 8 hit points.
Yeah, in intense pain. Hold on. This locked up on me for some reason. Not what I want. All right. Can you guys still hear me? Okay. I locked up for a second. I tried opening up something. Okay. In intense pain, Cinnamon, from all of the wounds you've sustained, you regain consciousness. Your entire body literally feels afire. I need the there it is. I want you to, as you come to, hold on. I should have had this ready, but I wasn't anticipating this. There we go. I'd like you to roll a d20 for me, Cinnamon.
No modifiers, just a number?
Straight d20.
18.
18. It seems kind of surprising, given the severity of what just happened. But it turns out that it's actually mostly your armor and any cloth. What kind of armor were you wearing?
Studded leather.
Yeah, so the studded leather is crispy, like very brittle. I'm actually going to I'm going to say that you have a I'm going to say you have a -2. Your armor class is reduced by 2. And you actually, even though you hurt all over and your hair's burned away, you find that as you kind of move, your skin itself is not very burned. The armor seems to have taken most of that. It was the pure shock of being awash with the fire, and it burned you inside. You know, you burned your lungs, and obviously it hurt. But you're gonna have some burn scars from this. I actually had you roll on the lingering injury chart from the Dungeon Master's Guide.
Oh, cool.
So yeah, that was actually Morgan's turn. And the dragon, as far as anybody knows, is out of sight. So it actually is your turn, Cinnamon.
So as a bonus action, I'd like to do my second wind.
Absolutely.
Oh, yes. Okay, it's 15. Okay, and then I guess I'll get up and kind of hobble / run away.
Yeah, I think as you kind of reach within yourself, as your companion has come back and revived you, and you reach within yourself for that reserve energy that you always hold by to strengthen yourself, it takes a few steps of movement to kind of get your feet under you, and then you and Morgan are able to begin sprinting through the halls after your other companions as well. It takes another, say, 20 seconds. Kitty and Kaylin, you emerge from the front entrance to the from the front entrance of the castle. And out into the courtyard where still lies the dead Cambion and Gnoll and Garrelon and Hobgoblin. But a lot of the fighting forces have moved away from, even further away from where they were. Give me, both of you, a perception check. Both of you notice as you look around that the fighting hasn't just moved away. You realize that all of the goblins, kobolds, hobgoblins, gnolls, and anything else, orcs, that were waging war within this courtyard are running away from the castle. You see them scrambling over walls. And that's when you hear from above the screech. And you feel and see the shadow over you as the form of the dragon comes swooping down from above. And it swings down in an arc as it comes off of the top of the castle. Its wings billowing, causing dust and dead bodies of all the fallen to scatter. And its talons kind of skitter across the ground as it was pinwheeling to stop and face you with such force. And it just billows itself up, screeching. And I need each of you to make a wisdom saving throw. That's Kaylin and Kitty. Excuse me. Wow. And you guys are both humans. Is anybody immune to fear effects? I don't think so. I just wanted to double check. So you are both frightened for 1 minute. The sheer terror and form of this dragon, the realization that this is the one and only dragon in the realm. Now and again, because you have slain its child. And just its sheer enormity. This thing is massive. It just terrifies you to your very core. For the next minute, the only action you can take is to get as far away from this thing as you can. At the end of each of your turns, you can repeat the saving throw. Moments later, Morgan and Cinnamon, you see the front entrance as you're charging toward it. And the dragon, taking advantage of the frightened status of its prey, it's actually going to billow its wings forcefully toward Kaylin and Kitty. And I just need to double check. I don't know if anybody has the conditions in front of them. Oh, here we go. Frightened creature has disadvantage on ability checks. Okay. So with disadvantage, I need both of you to make dexterity saving throws. Kitty and Kaylin. The force of the buffeting of the wings is so strong that it lifts both of you off of your feet and slams you into the sides of the front of the castle. And you drop prone to the ground, each of you taking 16 points of bludgeoning damage. Kitty, I believe that's halved for you still. You're not, or no, that's only while you're raging, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So then you take both of you take the full 16 points of bludgeoning damage from this attack. And you actually see this, Morgan, and Cinnamon, as you're rushing towards the entrance, you see the dragon hovering, and that it billows, and you feel the rush of wind actually come down the through the foyer of this castle, but it's not strong enough to do anything to you. Morgan, it's your turn. What do you want to do?
Well, I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to notice the I assume frantic look on both Kitty and Kalen's faces.
Yeah, they look as they tumble and crash to the ground. You can see that they are both, they've lost color. They're ashen white from fear.
Okay. Then I would definitely like to pull out my instrument, which I use to focus my magics, which is a flute, a cool bamboo flute. And I would like to throw Thunder Wave at the dragon while throwing Bardic die at Kitty. As I
so you're gonna rush out.
Oh no!
Inside the castle.
I'm staying right there in the doorway. I know better than to go out there.
Thunder Wave.
I need all the cover I can get. Do I not have reach with
Thunder
it?
Wave. No, Thunder Wave. The way it works is it extends out in a 15-foot cube from where
I keep forgetting about
from
that.
where you're standing.
Okay, then just kidding. I don't do that one. Thank you for the reminder. Well then, I'm gonna shoot at it. Hopefully we can attract its attention long enough to give Kitty and Kalen time to set up. I turn to Cinnamon and look at her and go, ready to play bait? Let's do this. So then she proceeds to pull out her pistol as she has her shield in one arm, kind of making sure that she has at least half her face covered so that just in case to react to the dragon, and she just shoots at the wing of the dragon in an attempt to pull its attention away from her companions.
All right, fire away.
16.
The bullet glances off of the scaled armor of the scales-like armor of the dragon with a spark. And it's the dragon's turn. So you're still inside the doorway?
Yeah.
The dragon is going to fly down at the two frightened and downed targets. Let's see, it gets... Okay. It's going to take a claw attack at each of Kitty and Cinnamon. Nope. Each Kitty and Kalen, each with advantage because you are prone. So Kitty, that is going to be a 26 to hit. And that is going to do 23 points of slashing damage to Kitty. And that is a 24 to hit Kalen. I'll just make sure it's not a crit. So it's a 24 to hit Kalen. Kalen, you are going to take 14 points of slashing damage. Correction. I need to retcon that. I rolled the wrong damage dice, Megan. I was rolling D10s, and I should have been rolling D6s. So, I don't know, better or worse. 19 points of slashing damage from the claw that hit you. And 20 points of slashing damage, Kalen. I rolled 2 6s on those. Sorry. And it's going to reach its head in. 19 was the damage, Megan. And it's going to reach its head into the doorway for Morgan and attempt to bite you. I'm going to say that because you're inside the doorway, you have partial cover. We'll call it half cover, so you get a +2 to your AC. So that makes you at a 19. That 17
That is
AC.
correct.
That 17 AC you have, is that with your shield?
Yes, it's included the shield the entire time.
Okay. So then you have a 19 for this attempt to attack you. That is a 23.
Dang it.
So this time it is D10s. That's a 5. And a 5 is 10. Plus 8 is 13. And the heat of its bite is going to also do 2 ones. 2 points of fire damage.
So that's 15 in total?
Yes. And that ends the dragon's turn.
Nom 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 bard.
Cinnamon. Everybody in your party just got attacked by the dragon. You've been attacked by the dragon. What are you going to do?
So I'm assuming because Morgan just got nommed on, that the dragon is within like 30 feet of me. Is that correct?
Yes, actually, because it just stuck its head in the doorway, so it's definitely within 30 feet of you.
I am going to throw my magic javelin at it and attempt to hit it. It's a javelin of lightning.
Oh, snap.
So let's pray we hit.
Yes!
No!
No!
13.
Wow, I can't spell. How do you spell javelin? Oh, there it is. There it is. I did spell it right. No, you do not need. Because of the way it works, the dragon has to make a dexterity saving throw.
Okay.
Because as you throw it, it transforms into lightning that is 5 feet wide and 120 feet long. Or rather, travels in a 120-foot line. So you throw this thing and it just leaves your hand, turns into sizzling electrical energy. And let's see. Wow. Not good dex bonus. Well, I think it's going to succeed because that's a 16 on the die, so that's 22. But it still takes half of the 4d6 damage.
Okay. So I rolled 17.
So that would be 8. And
And then for my second attack, because I would like to shoot at it with my revolver.
okay.
And I'm going to say some mumbo jumbo under my breath as I'm shooting. And when the bullet leaves, it's glowing a nice purple.
Nice.
I've just created a magic bullet. All right. So 22.
That is a hit.
All right. So it's going to do 2d6 force plus the damage of the bullet. So it does 5 force damage and 13 piercing.
Nice. 18 total. Okay. And is that at the end of your turn?
That is the end of my turn.
Okay. And you all hear a familiar and perhaps welcome sound of as the plane, which has been circling this entire time, throttles up in a little bit of a dive, and you hear that as it takes 6 shots at the dragon. That is a hit. That is a miss. That is a hit. That is a miss. That is a miss. And a hit. So 3 are going to hit. Well, wait, that's 2. So that's 2, 13, 17, 23, 31, 35, 36, 37, 38. 43 points of damage to the dragon from Carol in her gunnery seat up in the air support vehicle. Kitty, you can make the saving throw again.
Does a 15?
A 15 is not enough. You are still terrified of this dragon.
All right. Are there any like Are there any like big wooden things kind of around?
Like
are there still like some of those catapults working?
There's one catapult.
Weapons?
There's one catapult about 30 feet away.
Okay, I'm gonna. Would I be able to make a beeline for it?
Yes.
Okay. Would that take my whole turn?
No, it's only 30 feet away, so it would just take your movement.
Okay. Okay. Do I see any sort of any kind of ammo to use?
It has kind of attached to it on the sides are these giant stones, and there's still 2 stones that are attached on it. There's a bucket of pitch and a torch.
Okay. So I think it would take the rest of my action to set up the catapult, just to put the rocks in, to put the pitch on, and to light it.
Yeah, I would say
and to
that
wind it up.
It's actually already wound.
Okay.
It looks like whoever was crewing it before they abandoned it, they wound it down into position but never loaded it. I will say yes, if you could spend the rest of your turn loading it. It's with your strength, you would have no problem loading a boulder and dumping the pitch. And I think you'd get as far as getting the pitch, and then on your next turn, if you're going to fire it, you'd be able to light it and fire it.
All right.
Kaylin, make your saving throw. Wisdom.
And a whole whopping 5.
This thing scares the shit out of you.
Right. So yeah, I'm just cowering mess at the moment.
Yeah, so you don't even try to run. You're just kind of pressed up against the wall. You scramble up against the wall as it continues to menace there. Morgan.
So, am I still in its mouth?
No, it just bit at you.
Okay, so it's still close though, right?
Yeah, you're not like grappled by its bite.
Oh, there you go.
It just bit you and released.
Okay, then I would like to throw a vial of acid at it. I only
Absolutely.
have one, so here we go. That would be a 21.
That hits.
Yay! I don't remember what the damage was. Give me 1 sec to pull it up.
Excuse me.
Never! You shall be pardoned, but only once.
Is that from the...
Just the player's handbook, which of course decides not to load at all on my phone right now.
Let's see. What is that called specifically?
It's
Is
just,
it vial
it
of
says acid? It just says it's like acid at the very top when you look at the general adventuring gear. There's acid and then alchemist fire and then backpack, if I recall.
I do not. Oh, that's in the wrong list. Acid vial. Why the hell doesn't it show on the list?
Okay, I got my book back up.
I've got mine too, and it's not showing.
It's like tucked on the very bottom of the previous page, which is why it's hard to see. Like, I almost missed it myself.
It's because it's so small. Let's just call it.
It says, as an action, you can splash the contents of this vial into a creature within 5 feet, or throw the vial up to 20 feet, shattering it on impact. On hit, the target takes 2d6 points of acid.
All right. Well, that's pretty much what I was going to say. Was drop a couple d6s on it.
Go back to you. Go back. That would be 8 points of acid damage.
Excellent.
I think it's the most damage I've done so far. Yes.
All right. It is the dragon's turn.
I also throw, as a bonus action, a bardic die at Kaylin.
All right. So it is the dragon's turn. Hold on, my window got really tiny for some reason. Okay. The dragon is going to take another bite at you. Actually, first of all, we're going to see. Ooh, it does recharge. The dragon is not going to bite at you. It draws its head out of the entrance of the door. And as it does so and rears back, you can see its throat glowing. Because Cinnamon and Morgan, you are kind of inside. I'm going to give you advantage on this dexterity check. Kaylin, you do not get advantage, but you do have an inspiration die that was just given to you, an extra D8. So roll your dexterity saving throws. And if you think you need it, you can roll that D8 as well. Kitty's going to be very thankful that she ran in fear to the catapult.
I got a 21.
Okay. Morgan got a 17, laced with prayers. Cinnamon, how'd you do?
Well, I'm glad we had advantage because my first roll was a 1 and then I rolled a 20. So it's a 24 in total.
Morgan, you did not save. Kaylin, you just saved. And of course, Cinnamon, you saved. You are going to take half damage. That is 18d6, just like before. I'm rolling 6 times, so that is 13. 22. 7, 29. And 5 is 34. 36, 46. And 52, 56 total to Morrigan. And 28 to each Kaylin and Cinnamon. Morgan, I'm fairly certain that knocked you unconscious.
I'm pretty sure I'm dead at this point.
What's your max HP?
My max HP is 28. I'm already at 10 hit points, so that leaves me with 38 until I'm negative 28. So it was lovely knowing you all.
Your max was 28?
Yeah, I only have 28 hit points. I'm a bard with low constitution.
Oh, yeah, because that was 56. So that
I'm
definitely.
gone.
So I think
Glorious exit.
I'm gonna let you go ahead and narrate what it looks like as you are immolated by this dragon.
Okay.
And the story dies with you.
Unless somebody reses me. But anyway.
I don't think there's any clerics in the party.
Well, no, they could just pay for it with all the wealth they just got. But, so she sees the fire coming, and Cinnamon, you're close enough that you can see it. You see that smile on her face, that she knows it's death again knocking on her door, and that there's a high chance she's not going to survive it. Because while she follows you, lovely warrior, she knows she is merely but a burden to you, only an asset in that she tells your stories and lets everyone know of your heroic deeds. And as the fire begins to glow and begins to and the jaws begin to spread, she just laughs in the face of death, trying to jump backwards, because she just knows in her heart, like any good storyteller, that her time has come, and she embraces the fire as it hits her. And as it passes, it's as if you just see her corpse just drop, her shield burnt and battered, half gone, her pistol thrown to the side, as she lays on her back, unmoving.
That was awesome. I mean, I'm sorry that I killed you, but that was awesome.
Bro, it happens. I am not upset. I am not upset. That was a good way to go.
That was a very cool death narration.
Thank you.
Kaylin, how are you doing?
I'm hurting so bad. If I could go into the negatives, I would be at a negative 21. Let's put it that way.
What's your maximum hit points?
44.
Okay. So yeah, you are unconscious. Cinnamon, did that take you out again?
Yeah, and as many times as minutes, she falls to the ground, but she sees, like, her last thought as she's falling to the ground, she sees the light in Morgan's eyes, kind of like it's bright, and then they diminish, and as she's falling unconscious herself, she's wondering who's going to tell her story. Morgan's story, that is, as she falls unconscious again.
And between as you're kind of loading up this catapult, Kitty, you see the front entrance just engulfed in flame. You actually hear the laughter that abruptly cuts off from Oregon. You see Kaylin and Cinnamon fall. And at the same time, you hear doof, 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 doof. All of that is enough that shocks you out of this frightful presence of this dragon. You are shocked back into reality as the dragon takes 4, 8. I'm just going to quick average that and say the dragon takes another 48 points of damage. So that's you see shells from this support vehicle puncturing the wings of the dragon. You see a couple of scales. One of its horns actually gets shot away. And it's your turn.
So I want to I think that an instant wave of immense guilt would wash over Kitty. And she would just have flashbacks of all the times that her friends were there for her, all the times that they saved her life. They were there for her. And twice now she has run. Twice now she has not faced what has come her way. And she would light the catapult and I guess activate the catapult. I don't know how catapults work, so
You just have to pull a lever.
okay, yeah, she will. Yeah. So and then she pulls the lever.
So make a ranged weapon attack with a +5 to hit.
Okay.
See how well you were able to target it.
Okay. Whoops. I rolled 5 d20s instead of d20 +5.
Super mega advantage.
I'm like, oh, 45. No, that's not right. 21.
That hits. You're going to roll 5d10 of damage. And let's see, 4d6. I think it's immune. I don't know if it's immune to that. Yeah, it's immune, so it won't matter. So yeah, just roll the 5d10 of bludgeoning damage.
So that's 33.
Nice. And as it strikes mid-body of this dragon, you see the fire wash over it harmlessly, but the boulder shatters against it and actually breaks scales away. And the dragon loses its flight for a moment. It drops 10 feet to the ground, stunned from this attack.
And I think that while it's stunned and while I'd like to think that after she pulls it and sees that its trajectory, she would just start running back towards where her friends are.
And they're only 30 feet away, so you can get there in this turn.
Yeah.
So Kaylin would be the closest because she was on the outside. Cinnamon is on the floor. Well, it's actually both Cinnamon and Morgan are on the floor inside. Just inside the doorway.
Yeah, so I think I think that she would since it's like, what is there like an exit to this courtyard that's close other than the entrance to the castle?
So as you look around, you would actually remember this. You would know this from your briefing as you were even preparing to come here, that one of your plans of egress was to come out through, there's a gate across the courtyard, and where there was a bridge, that the plan was for the plane to come in and extract you at that point.
Okay. So I think she would pick up Kaylin or Draker, and start towards that gate, kind of putting her body between the dragon and Kaylin.
Okay.
And travel the other 10 feet I still have on my...
Right. So it's going to take you a little while. The dragon is recovering. Starting to recover. Actually, let me see. Let me see what it's doing. For one more round, the dragon seems to just be stunned from that hit. You can hear it roaring. And you can get another 40 feet if you're going to continue. You're continuing to pull Kaylin. What's your strength?
My strength modifier is +3, so 16.
And Kaylin, you're a human, right?
Yes, I am.
I think with your strength, I don't think you'd have. I'm not going to impose any like difficult terrain or anything like that. I think you're big enough, you're strong enough. I mean, based on the sword you're wielding, that you would be able to pull her. Plus, in the kind of the adrenaline of the moment, I'm not going to impose any negatives. So you'd be able to pull her the full 40 feet.
Okay.
To get off this side courtyard. The dragon is coming to its senses and is going to make one more attack towards you as you are attempting to get away. Looks to be, let's see. Well, hold on. Oh yeah, yep. You're still going to be in range. It's got a 60-foot cone. You're going to make a dexterity saving throw. Kaylin. Actually, I kind of skipped over this. Kaylin and Cinnamon both need to make death saving throws. Because there is a chance that you could crit yourself awake. Or crit yourself dead. I guess that's a possibility too.
Yeah. Is it a straight roll?
Yep, straight D20.
Yeah, 2.
That is a fail. You are still dying.
Fantastic.
I got an 18.
So you have one success. So you deliberately, the way you're dragging Kaylin, you're trying to keep yourself between the dragon and Kaylin.
Yeah, I'm deliberately putting my body in between. Because
Kaylin being unconscious would automatically fail. Yeah. But I'm going to have you roll at disadvantage.
Okay.
Okay. How'd you do? 20 for dex at disadvantage?
20. Yeah.
You just missed it. How many hit points do you have left?
16.
Because you failed, you take the full damage of 54 points of fire damage, which will knock you unconscious.
Poop.
As you are falling unconscious from the fire of this. I need Kaylin and Cinnamon to make another death saving throw.
I got another 18.
So that's a success
I failed again.
and a failure. So no sudden resurrections. There is one last thing. As you're fading, Kitty, you are the only one that hears this. Doof, 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 doof. It's one hit. That's a miss. That's a miss. That's a miss. It's two more. That's a hit. And that's a hit. 3 hits. I will tell you that this is possible if these 3 hits deal 47 points of damage.
No.
The dragon is dead. Do you want me to roll them, or do you guys want to roll damage? You want me to roll damage? All right, here we go. This is going to be 6d12 and 3d6. So the 3d6 are 13. I'll write that down. So 6d12 is, that's 2. So we're at 15. 12. So we're at 27. 2 is 29. 3, 32. 2 more rolls. 2 more d12s. That is a 7. Is 39. And an 8 is 47. Wait, is that right? Did I do that math right? 39 plus 8 is 47, right?
Yeah.
Which is what I said was needed, right? I'm not.
Woo!
Okay. I'm like rooting for you guys here. And I'm running my number. I'm like, okay, I just want to make sure. I said 47, and that's 47 because I got 153 here and 47. So the last thing you hear, Kitty, is that doof, 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 doof. And as your eyes flutter, as just this pain and the shock of the fire that overwhelmed you, your eyes flutter. You think you see the dragon collapse to the ground. And then there's these flashes of you open your eyes and you see the gunship and you see the wings rotate so that the 4 props are now vertical as it begins to hover down into the courtyard. You see the wise man and you see Carol come running out and you feel arms pulling at you. And Kaylin, you hear a voice saying, "Where's Morrigan? Where's Morrigan?" You hear Carol calling. And then the wise man says, "Just get them on board," as he picks up Cinnamon. And the 3 of you faintly feel a sense of motion as the wise man is attending to you and begins applying healing magic to you as Carol flies the extraction vehicle out and away from the flaming wreckage and the dead carcass of the dragon. And the wise man pulls from Kalen just as you're beginning to regain consciousness. You all see him holding these cloths as he unwraps them, and you see the two glowing stones from the young dragon wyrmling's throat. At whatever cost, you have completed your mission. The end. Oh my gosh. I thought I was going to do 2 TPKs in a row.
Awesome. That was great.
That was awesome.
You thought my life was totally worth it.
I've never had it come down to that. Wow. So there it is. Sucker punch. Don't wake the mother.
Yeah,
Don't wake him.
fantastic.
No, don't do it.
So I would like to, while we're still on the air, just real quick, I want to thank everybody who was watching. We're going to do a quick after-action review with everybody before we go, but I want to thank everybody that watched and encourage you all this week to watch the Ladies Week's games that are being hosted through the Absolute Tabletop official group. And I'm almost 100% positive that if you search for Ladies Week and D&D on YouTube, you'll find a lot of those games, or head over to the Absolute Tabletop official group and look for those games that are being run this week. I want to get an impression of the game from each of you. And then I'm going to do what I like to do. I just give you a couple little behind the scenes glimpses at how I ran a couple things with the game. So I'm going to start with Yvonne. What did you think?
That was a lot different than I was expecting. It was a lot of fun.
Wait, does that mean you weren't expecting fun?
No. And just, the idea of the whole mechanics of it, I was wondering how that was going to play out. So I liked how it worked out, and it was a great deal of fun. Thank you.
Thank you. Melissa, this is the first time you and I have ever played together. What'd you think?
I had a load of fun. I'm a big fan of anything that's Fate-esque, so having to stand there and describe all my actions and do totally dope stuff was completely up my alley. I really enjoyed how you handled the pacing. Like when you were like, oh, guess what? 4 mini-bosses! I was like, what? And I was totally into that. Like, even if it was just goblins catching us, and we're like, oh, snap, that worked. That was a lot of fun. I really enjoyed how you ran that encounter. And then even though I died, it was worth it. It was so worth it.
I have killed very few people in my games. In fact, on Friday, I think it was, I had my first ever TPK. And I thought I was going to have my second one tonight. But that was one of the best death scenes that I've seen. I like, if somebody dies, I like the idea of giving you a chance to narrate your own death. And kind of go out on your terms. And I thought you handled that very well. It was a very awesome cinematic scene. So thank you. Also, Karen, first time that we've ever played together. And I know you're signed up for at least 2 more of my games, I think. So we'll be playing together again in the future. But what'd you think of this game?
Oh, it was great. It was brutal. And it was awesome. Had me sitting on the seat the entire time because I didn't know if I was going to die or live. It was great. No, I had a lot of fun. It was great.
And Megan, how about you? This is the first time you've played you've played with me as the DM of a D&D game, I think. Though I've had you as a DM a couple of times. What'd you think?
Whew. I've never been so stressed. Oh, right at the end when you were rolling, I was like, oh my god, I'm sweating. I can't. But no, it was awesome. The time, it was one of those games where the time just goes by so quickly. You're so engrossed, you're so just drawn into the game that you don't even realize how much time has gone by. And so to me, that is one of the markers of a really great game with great DM, great players. So yeah, I had so much fun.
Thank you. I appreciate that. I realized that from the get-go that this was going to be a very combat-heavy game, which is why I chose to mix in some cinematic stuff. I wanted to showcase your guys' badassery right off the bat. So, I mean, it was just some totally bullshit made-up mechanics, just to give you the chance. I mean, there's no way you guys aren't going to be awesome against goblins and kobolds and, cutting a swath through all of those initial enemies. And it sounded like I succeeded in making you think that you were just cutting your way to the door so you could go after the dragon. So it seemed like you were all surprised by that motley crew of mini bosses. And I went looking for like, what is the most motley crew? And I pilfered from, they're basically from Volo's and the Monster Manual. I grabbed the Flind, which is from Volo's, which is a fiendish, almost like a warband leader. And that thing, I never looked closely at their attacks, which is why I paused so much the first time the Flind attacked, because it gets 3 attacks with its flail. So and each one of them does these incredible saves with paralysis and extra pain and causing you to attack one of your own companions. The Hobgoblin Devastator, I think Devastator is not really a valid term against you guys. It's only a CR4, so it barely got off any attacks. I've always loved Cambions since they were one of the first things that was ever previewed from the 5th edition Monster Manual. And then I thought, let's throw a beast in there. It just seemed like something like out of anime or cartoons where you'd have these badass bosses that are so eclectic. I mean, you had a demon and a gnoll, and you had this hobgoblin, and then this 4-armed maniacal gorilla. And you guys cut through most of them. I mean, that Flynn pretty much, taxed you guys quite a bit. And then the mechanics of moving through the castle, I didn't want it to just be, okay, you're there, and then you get to the end. So I basically I love using, it's based off of the 4th edition skill challenge, where you have to get so many successes before so many failures. What I did was I created this simple, right here, pass-fail chart. This is the first one where you guys split perfectly, so that counted as half a success and half a failure. 2 of you succeeded, 2 of you failed. So you guys were doing good right up here until those goblins showed up, and then you fired 2 gunshots. So those counted as automatic stealth fails. That all determined whether or not the mother would have awoken. In the movie, it's a given that no matter what, the mother awakens. But I thought, I want there to be a chance that you guys could actually kill the baby and get out of there. If that was the case, I probably would have, because the dragon wasn't there to scare everybody away, you would have had to fight your way back out. So, there were things I didn't know how they were going to go. And of course, you never know when you're players, you have a group of players that are so varied, you don't know what choices they're going to make. That dragon was a adult red dragon. So there's high AC, there's high, obviously high saves. I think it had a 19 AC. All of the saves were like 21 and 22, which is why you guys were not succeeding or barely succeeding. The mechanic with Carol flying around, I wanted the support ship, and I had decided, I think I mentioned at the break, I decided that would be 6 shots. I just made up damage, 30 caliber cannon. I said 2d12 plus piercing plus 6 bludgeoning. And so I went with that mechanic the whole way through. So when we got to that critical end bit, when I was watching the initiative order, and after that dragon went, I'm like, it's time for Carol. She's got one more attack. And one thing, I've mentioned this in other games, I don't use, I never roll for hit points for my monsters. I use the average as a guideline, but I always, if you look at my, I don't know if you can even see in my notes because I cross them out a lot, but I always count up when you deal damage. I just start adding the numbers till it gets to a point where it's based on how many rounds, a lot of it's pacing, but I had decided a couple rounds before that this dragon had 200 hit points. So when we took those last shots and I said, all right, 6 shots, and if she gets 47 points of damage, this thing's dead. And that's why I was shocked when I added the numbers up and got exactly 47. You guys could not have gotten any closer. I mean, if she had failed, the dragon would have gone after the plane, would have taken out the plane probably, and it would have been a TPK, total failure. So I had a lot of excitement in that, not knowing what was going to happen. Not knowing if the dragon was going to kill you guys outright. Anybody watching, a lot of times it's common, I think, to give players max HP. And I do it myself a lot, but I did not give you guys max HP. I gave you max for first level, and I had you take the average, I think, for the following 4 levels. So I kind of stacked the deck against you. But I will say, I gave you access to fully automatic weapons, and nobody came here with a machine gun. I was a little bit surprised when you guys started pulling out pistols against the dragon, but no, that's not true. I loved each one of your characters. I love that you guys came into this game with the spirit of Sucker Punch. Even though that was, more or less just the inspiration for this, this is one of my favorite games that I've run. And I owe that to the 4 of you. And in spirit, in the sky, Carol, even though she couldn't be here, we'll have to tell her that she needs to watch the game because she was your angel above, providing covering fire and literally your last minute salvation. So with all of that, I want to thank each one of you for making this one of my favorite games. I will gladly game with any of you at any time, especially Megan and Karen, because you're both in upcoming games of mine. So keep an eye out for those here on Mini Terrain Domain. As I've said many times, head over to Absolute Tabletop official group to see what kind of games are being run out of that group there, as well as many more Ladies Week's games. Until next time, I've been Jake for Mini Terrain Domain. Imagine, build, play, and of course, Mittada.